Hey guys, check out this from Call for an Uprising about the Serpent.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. There's a reason that there's a saying that a picture is worth 1,000 words. And all of these photographs that keep coming out of Donald Trump, which again, I showed you him saying, wait, wait, wait. Everybody out there has seen how he strategically staged that photograph. But what most people don't know is that the news, of course, is fake. It's scripted. It doesn't mean people aren't caught in the line of fire. But the news itself is manufactured. It's meant to manufacture you and to manufacture your behavior. Donald Trump is being propped up as a modern day prophet, and conservatives and Christians do not see it. And that picture of Donald Trump, if we look very closely, we can see how strategically this blood was placed on his mouth. Now, people out there will say, well, that's just, you're going too far. What are you saying? He was underneath the table and he was putting this makeup on his face. A lot of people out there obviously have seen all the pictures of him with his hand and his ear where he has no blood on his hand after touching his ear. But everybody saw Donald Trump underneath the table for a period of time. And underneath that table, we were told while that was happening that Donald Trump was putting his shoes on. By shoes, did they really mean makeup? Because this picture, this image, what nobody's noticing and everybody's staring right at this image, is deception in plain sight. And the blood that is positioned on his mouth, nobody goes, how did the blood get all the way down there? Well, we're supposed to believe that it trickled from his ear all the way down to his mouth, even though you can clearly see the gaps in between from his mouth to his ear where there is no blood. And it looks, if you pay attention, which nobody is, just like the serpent's tongue. And that is very important to remember. So if you're new to this, let me explain. Signs and symbols rule the world, not words nor laws. This channel has been censored year after year, month after month, as most of the subscribers on this channel know. What I have exposed over the years, one of many things, is signs and symbols. Signs and symbols are in front of us every single day, but nobody pays attention to them. Corporations, signs and symbols, logos that we think are all there because of branding are all there so that these people can reveal themselves in plain sight, so they can communicate with one another through signs and symbols. Now, everybody has seen the collages, and if you haven't, it's a good time to start paying attention, of every single celebrity holding up a hand over their eye, holding a 666 symbol up over their eye. Of course, they're referencing Lucifer, the eye of providence, the eye that you see on the back of the dollar bill. It is not a coincidence that all of these celebrities are doing this. The devil and his minions are to reveal themselves in front of all of us. It's just a matter of whether or not you're processing this or not. So the way that the blood is positioned on Trump's lip, look at his lips. He even has blood on his upper and lower lip, right? Nobody asked why his lip looks like it's bleeding. So his blood was supposed to be rushed from his ear all the way down. And again, the majority of people who don't believe this event believe that he used a ketchup packet or something along those lines. Whatever you want to believe, it's very clear that this event was completely staged. And this should be an event, just like the 11th day of September, that should wake a lot of people up. And what's frightening about it is more Christians seem to be deceived than ever. But people who were not conspiracy theorists, people who do not question the news, are now suddenly questioning the news. So this is a good chance for them to learn how all of this stuff works. So as far as the serpent goes, why Donald Trump would have this looking just like that. That's exactly what everybody who sees this picture who's awake thinks when they see this picture of him, right? You think of a serpent's tongue. In the book of Genesis chapter 3, right? We think immediately of the serpent in the garden, the temptation and the fall of man. Genesis chapter 3. Now the serpent was more cunning than any beast of the field. The serpent and the serpent's tongue, just like the all-seeing eye, just like the 666 sign, these signs and symbols mean so much to them and revealing themselves to you every single time they take a photo, for the most part, or on a magazine cover or in any prominent shot, just like this strategic photo of Trump. They will reveal who they truly are. Watching how Christians have responded to Donald Trump over the years, especially now after the fake assassination attempt. If Donald Trump comes out and tells them that Project Bluebeam is the Messiah, those people will believe it. They will believe whatever he says. They don't realize that they're deceived. You see how deep in it they are after this has occurred. He is the ultimate snake oil salesman. So over the years, the serpent's tongue is a common thing that most people don't notice, right? We've seen, obviously, Marina Abramovich and a lot of these Satanists do photography with snakes on them. It's not because they love snakes, the actual reptile. It's because they love their father, the devil. That's who they are of, their father, the devil. And Donald Trump, of all the people we've seen, what we could most affiliate him with as far as occult symbolism is the serpent. It is the serpent. Why? Because Donald Trump is known for this poem that he gives all the time. He gives this poem, or I should say, he reads this poem called The Snake. And they tell us it was penned by civil rights activist Oscar Brown Jr. in 1963. And Trump is able to get away with this out in the open because he has his convinced audience who, again, the devil is the author of confusion. The devil is a liar. He's been a liar and a murderer from the beginning. And guess what? So are all his minions. In John chapter 8, verse 44, ye are of your father the devil, and the lusts of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. And all of the devil's minions, like Trump and all these people, are nothing but liars. It's amazing to me that these people think that, I mean, even if the devil showed up with a sign, a tattoo on his chest that he was the devil and he was this big red thing with horns on him, I don't think these people would believe it. Which makes me wonder, what do Christians actually think of all these warnings in the Bible about lies and deception, right? Do they realize that the hypnosis that they're under, the reason they support Trump so much is done psychologically to them by design, by the devil himself, the prince of the power of the air, hence the air waves? Do they not realize when Trump is reading this poem that I'll play for you again about the snake? Listen closely to the poem, that he is referencing himself as the snake. He's not referencing the border. He's not referencing what's going on there. They're deceiving you right to your faces. He's talking about himself.
So I read this the other day, and I said, wow, that's really amazing. That's really incredible. And it's the snake lyric. On her way to work one morning, down the path along the lake, a tender-hearted woman saw a poor, half-frozen snake. Interesting. His pretty-colored skin had been all frosted with the dew. Oh, well, she cried, I'll take you in, and I'll take care of you. Take me in, O tender woman. Take me in, for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman. Sighed the vicious snake. She wrapped him up cozy in a curvature of silk, and then laid him by the fireside with some honey and some milk. Now she hurried home from work, and that night, as soon as she arrived, she found that pretty snake she'd taken and revived. Take me in, O tender woman. Take me in, for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman, sighed the vicious snake. Now she clutched him to her bosom. You're so beautiful, she cried. But if I hadn't brought you in, by now you might have died. She stroked his pretty skin, and then she kissed and held him tight. But instead of saying thank you, that snake gave her a vicious bite. Take me in, O tender woman. Take me in, for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman, sighed the vicious snake. I saved you, cried the woman, and you've bit me. Heavens, why? You know your bite is poisonous, and now I'm going to die. Oh, shut up, silly woman, said the reptile with a grin. You knew damn well I was a snake before you took me in.
And again, these people could show you themselves, reveal themselves, and people are just idol worshiping like we've never seen before. And that's really what it comes down to. There is mass idol worshiping going on with Donald Trump. And these people, again, they will not admit that it's idol worship. They don't realize what idol worship is. They don't know this man. They've never met this man. They act as if this man lives in their home. They act as if this man sleeps on their sofa or in their bed in some cases with them because they're under hypnosis. Because the television set, the same reason that most of these people worship a lot of these celebrities and think that they know them and they cry when they see them. It's hypnotism. And unfortunately, Christians are falling for the lies of the devil. And Trump, this photograph of him with the blood smeared like that could not be more strategic. It could not be more set up. But the common person would not believe. They'd be like, well, he's got to get underneath the table. And then what? He'd have to look in a mirror and he'd have to put this on his mouth just like that. And they can't grasp that, right? But if you were watching a live play and somebody got shot in a live play, right? And then suddenly he's got blood on his face and coming out of his chest, would you think anything of it? No, you wouldn't. You would look and you'd be like, oh, okay, he got shot, now he's bleeding. We're watching a play. I mean, you wouldn't have to think, oh, how did he get the blood out on his chest? And how did they do that? Because you're watching a performance. You're not even thinking like that. But when you bring it up in situations like this, they go, what? You think he was underneath there? Well, if everything is staged, why wouldn't this part of it be staged as well, strategically? The serpent. It's a common theme that we see with Donald Trump. But people, again, when I talk about everyone being compromised, that's one of the big arguments that most of them give, right? How could they all be in on it? Because in their mind, they think all these people are getting voted in at the ballot box. So then it would be like, oh, all these people were voted in by us, and they're all members of secret societies. Well, that's the illusion, is that your vote counts. Okay? These people are put in these positions. They're all members of the same secret societies. There's a brotherhood that they're loyal to. They're loyal to each other. Go back to the quote that I always read you from who? From Truman, the same man who declared Israel a state in 1948. Keep that in mind. The same man who declared Israel a state, who is a Freemason guilty of treason, is quoted as saying, although I hold the highest civil honor in the world, I have always regarded my rank and title as a past Grand Master of Masons, the greatest honor that had ever come to me. The brotherhood over the presidency. The brotherhood over all. And these people on the left and the right are in these positions of power, which a lot of people, again, can't grasp, via being in secret societies. They've been placed in these positions, then presented to you out in the public, like, oh, this is so-and-so, he's a Christian, this person's a Democrat, so they're not a Christian, they're pro-life, they're not pro-life, keeping you divided by all of these mechanisms that they've put in place, making you think that everybody's racist and everything else, right? That's why it's so important for them to keep the illusion that your vote counts. Because if everybody realized that these people put themselves in these positions to rule over us, then the people would unite. They wouldn't look at each other based on their political affiliation or skin. They would look at each other as civilians against a tyrannical government. And they don't want you to realize that. It's very easy to figure out when you understand how they've networked through secret societies, how they've been placed in these positions of power, and how they control the news. They control all the political positions. Even in small city councils, they control it, folks. Okay, there's a Freemason lodge in your town. Eastern Star is the female version. They're witches. Their logo is the pentagram upside down, the same one used by the Satanists and the Satanic Temple and every other Satanist out there. Okay? Pay attention. This stuff that's happening right in front of us is being revealed to us. They don't expect you to see the signs and the symbols. Trump's tongue, or his blood, I should say, making the tongue like that, was strategically done. And him reading the poem over and over and over again, not one time. It's not one time Trump read this poem. It's over and over and over again. It's notorious with Trump now, the poem, because they're getting it right. I mean, they're telling you right out in the open that he's the snake and he's going to deceive. And who is he going to deceive? Christians. And who is he deceiving right now? Christians. And how unhinged are most Christians who are not, who are watching people like us, who are speaking against the mainstream media and the government in general? They're unhinged beyond belief because they don't even realize they've been trained to be communists, trained to worship the party, the Republican Party. So ever since this scripted assassination attempt on Donald Trump, this fake assassination attempt occurred, more and more is starting to reveal itself to us. We're seeing just how mind-controlled Christians really are and how easy it is to bait them into this entire left-right paradigm where they're actually thinking that Donald Trump was saved by divine intervention when his life was never really put at risk. It was a simulation that occurred for exactly what is happening. Christians are being lured and deceived. And I've talked about Elon Musk and how important it is with Elon Musk and certain people to be lumped in with the conservatives. Because remember, there's certain narratives that both sides have to be in on. The smart city governance is one of them. Donald Trump, of course, has freedom cities And the libs, when we separate into red and blue states, will have smart cities. Just the conservatives don't realize it yet. The magic potion is another thing, and the Neuralink technology is a big one. Elon Musk suddenly became a conservative because they know that getting technology underneath the skin is crucial for all to move forward. I believe that the Neuralink and the digital ID is indeed the mark of the beast. Once it's implanted inside the human body, you will no longer be human. And it's very important to pay attention to this because Elon Musk has been obviously portraying a conservative with freedoms and free speech, baiting people into thinking his platform is for Christians, conservatives. It's all about freedom. Of course, we all know people that get censored on that platform for talking about a specific group of people that you're not allowed to talk about. But it's the illusion that that's a platform that he purchased so that others out there who feel oppressed by places like YouTube can now have free speech. They've been getting baited and they don't realize it, right? So all conservatives have been tickled by Elon Musk, thinking that these two specific billionaires, Trump and Musk, are not part of the club, that they're not a part of the club, and then they don't realize that all these events that they do where they make them seem like, they make it seem like the government is going after them, trying to put them on trial, trying to kill them, trying to slander them, is because they're exposing so much. And obviously they can't see that they're doing that so that these people find comfort in them and put more and more support behind them. So Elon Musk has come out and he's openly committing $45 million a month to a new pro-Trump super PAC. He has literally come out and said that he's now voting Republican. He was once Democrat, right? Anybody out there that doesn't know Elon Musk is compromised, pay attention. I will show you all of this right now and how this ties into the mark of the beast. Okay, we've seen Elon Musk wear the Baphomet on his Halloween costume. We've seen him doing the symbolism all the time. That's his mother, who you see doing on magazine covers. Nobody knows why his mother's famous. Of course, his mother's famous because she's a witch, a high-ranking witch in a high-ranking coven. You see her doing the 666. You see repetition there with all-seeing eye symbolism. Very obvious, very clear to see. It's not like it's one picture of her accidentally pulling an eye booger out of her eye. It's very staged. It's very strategic, right? So pay attention to this. What we're seeing now in this psychosis is that Trump supporters are wearing bandages on their ears, right? Donald Trump specifically, strategically, right? This thing nicked his ear, the whole narrative of divine intervention. He turned his head at the last second. This is the narrative the media is giving, and everybody's falling for it hook, line, and sinker. The same people who said that the media was controlled and the media was fake. They're getting fed the narratives, and they don't even realize it because the narrative is playing into them. So since it's playing into them, they refuse to believe that they're under mind control or any form of hypnosis, right? So all the Trump supporters at the Republican National Convention, all around now, we see people posting it to their social media accounts, are wearing ear bandages, okay? Pay attention to this. Because at the same time that this is happening, very quietly, all these conservatives who love Elon Musk, always telling everyone he's giving them money, they are now doing the second trial on another patient for the Neuralink, okay? Pay attention. For those of you that don't know, the Neuralink implant is implanted via right in the same spot that your, ear is. The same spot that if you do receive this Neuralink implant, you would have a bandage on your ear. Now, it's not the only way that the Neuralink can be put inside your body. A lot of people think that they have to do some type of procedure like in the movie Hannibal and cut open the head and go in that way. That's not true. They go behind the ear, as you can see, and the wires can run up to the brain. That is the way. They do it directly underneath or on the side of the skull. Now, the other way that this can be done that people don't realize, because it's already been done, is that it can be injected inside of you. Now, there are clips of Elon Musk talking about that. Every time I post that clip here on YouTube, it gets a copyright strike, so the video has to go down, so I can't put it in here. But it is available on the website. Most of you who are on the website have seen it, where Elon Musk talks about you don't have to have a surgical procedure to have the Neuralink technology in your body. It could be injected inside of your body. So if you're not paying attention yet with everything that's going on, it's very important to get this technology, nanotechnology, inside of you. So is it a coincidence that Elon Musk has sided with Donald Trump? This ear thing to me is very suspicious as to conditioning, right? These people are being conditioned. They're all walking around wearing this bandage over their ear, which is very likely what they would wear over and around their ear once the Neuralink is implanted. And Elon Musk just started the trial on the second patient, okay? So pay attention. The location of the device, which is approximately the size of a coin, is implanted beneath the skull and uses 64 tiny wires of threads equipped with over 1,000 electrodes that can read neuron activity in the brain and connect with the computer or smartphone, according to the company, okay? Connecting your brain with a smartphone. Now, this has to happen to all civilians, okay? This has to happen to everyone. It's not just Democrats, it's conservatives, and it's everybody, right? The mark is going to be for all. They want all people to take it. That's why this type of technology, they're doing it to market it to both sides. That's why Musk jumped over to being a conservative. That's why you see this for the Democrats, because now Democrats hate Elon Musk. So Bezos and Gates have Synchron, which is also a brain implant breakthrough. The illusion of freedom. Remember that, the illusion of choice. So there's no, oh, wow, this one guy's forcing this. We're not going to take it. The Democrats are going to have their next version of the cell phone, which will be implanted in them, this next version of the Neuralink, and so are the Republicans. Musk with the Republicans, Bezos and Gates with the liberals. And this week, this is a quote out of Elon Musk's mouth. Quote, "The future is going to be weird. Elon Musk predicts that brain chips will eventually replace phones. I've been yelling about this for years now. The phone, the next phase for the phone, they've been conditioning you with Fitbits, with iWatches, with eye lenses, all to get this technology under the skin, okay? This was from the World Economic Forum when Nokia's CEO was talking about, this is a few years ago, he was talking about 6G is going to be inside of you. And of course, the clip that I've used from Stretch Armstrong over the years that they continually tried to ban, which thankfully I still have, where they literally show you this type of technology and even call it the smart mark. So that's the frightening future. And if people don't pay attention, they're just going to be lulled to sleep into taking the mark of the beast. Now, they're going to have a choice, obviously, to take the mark. And I've said before, at this stage, I wouldn't even be surprised if Donald Trump or Nike or Elon Musk came out, called the thing the mark of the beast, and these people fell for it and took it and said it wasn't really the mark of the beast, because that's what this idol worshiping is doing to people. Now, Elon Musk, again, he has said humans must merge with machines. These are all quotes out of Elon Musk's mouth, over the last couple of years, for the last 15 years, ever since Elon Musk burst onto the scene. And it's not a coincidence that he's now playing into conservatives, which again, the whole Christian denomination for the most part in the United States of America is conservative, right? So go back and go through all of this stuff, just to recap for anyone that is still here listening. I hope most of you are, right? Elon Musk has been sided with conservatives psychologically for a reason. He's been a Dem his whole life. Oh, now he's a conservative, of course, because he doesn't like what he sees with free speech, but there isn't really free speech on his platform. Only free speech if you're in the left-right paradigm. If you try to pull people out of the left-right paradigm and you try to expose a certain group of people that you're not allowed to talk about, you will be removed from the platform. And of course, we also see the fact-checking going on over on Twitter underneath everything that people post anyway, which should never exist in the first place, because who is the actual fact checker? Who are they to tell you what is news and what is not news? And that, again, is what I've been talking about. The questioning of the news is what they're trying to remove. That's why with the left-right paradigm, you see so many Trump supporters who are angry at people like me and calling me anti-Trump, calling me a lib. They don't even listen to what I'm saying about the news being contrived. They can't get past that because they're stuck in the left-right paradigm. So we know that Musk, even recently wearing the Baphomet on his outfit, his mother, right? We know that they've deliberately put him as a conservative with his Neuralink so that when this technology comes out, they trust in him. They believe in him. He's one of them. This isn't some type of mark of the beast or satanic technology, right? You've also seen, Elon Musk even mentioning Jesus and God all of a sudden. These people who are Satanists, just like Trump, they are playing into the Christian audience, right? So everybody who's a conservative right now, not everybody, but the majority of people who are obsessively supporting Trump are posting pictures of themselves wearing bandages over their ears, right? Everybody at the national convention wearing bandages to do what? To show solidarity, a sign of love for Donald Trump, right? While Elon Musk is talking about the second patient Neuralink trial, where, of course, the bandage that these people are going to have, at least for this version of the Neuralink, is going to be behind the ear. You have Bezos and Gates with theirs, you have Musk with his, and you have Elon Musk this week talking about a future where brain chips will eventually replace phones, because everything, all of this tech is going to be underneath your skin, right? The clip from The Matrix where you're the battery. That's so important to note that nobody ever talks about, right? To turn you into this, because that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. They're mixing iron and clay. They're turning man and machine into one. And the Bible mentions this: in those times, in those days, men shall seek death, not be able to find death. The book of Daniel mentions the mixing of iron and clay. the narrative of this superpower. That's why we see so much programming through superheroes, right? Over and over and over again. It's not because it makes money. It's programming you to turn you into a superhero because that's how they're going to market it to you. That you're a super type of human, a superhuman, a transhuman, right? A superhuman who isn't tired anymore, who doesn't suffer from depression anymore, who is stronger than they've ever been, who only needs 1 hour of sleep every single day, who can automatically, without doing a Google search, can now do these things in their own mind, right? Think about where we're headed, right? Uploading your consciousness, that theme, you're already being conditioned for it right now with the internet. You're uploading your thoughts. You're putting everything you're thinking on your social media accounts. This is all conditioning you into this. And while people out there, they don't realize that they're getting conditioned into it. And then it happens to them and they refuse to believe it's what we're all saying it is. That's how everything with Trump is happening right now because they've been conditioned. So the conditioning has set them up to a point where it's not really, it's what's the word I'm looking for? It's very difficult to pull them out of it because they've been so deeply conditioned by it. Right? You have to peel layers off of them day by day to pull them out. And that's how we all woke up. It was little by little. You didn't wake up overnight. They say Rome wasn't built in a day. Well, we weren't awoken overnight. It took a starting point. And then little by little, you start realizing it. And eventually you get to the point where you realize it's all contrived. It is a simulated reality, right? That we're in. And then you have to disengage and not participate in it and pull people out of it. But when you hear them talk about hackable animals, humans being hackable animals, these aren't people that are just randomly speaking on YouTube. These are people that are meeting with Joe Biden, with Donald Trump, with world leaders. Yuval Harari and Klaus Schwab are meeting with every single prime minister, president, every leader of the world are meeting with these people, promoting their books, Obama's promoting his book, Bill Gates, promoting them, talking about how smart they are, intelligent, how they know what the future looks like. This isn't just some guy with some random thought telling you about hacking humans. This is wicked world leaders whose ultimate goal is to get this technology under your skin. If you haven't heard this story, it is very important that you hear it because this is just more proof of the convenience of this story coming out, of how they are making sure that right now, every civilian in the United States of America is emotionally invested to one party versus the other. They do not want anybody out there separating from the left-right paradigm because they will not be able to manipulate you and herd you. And of course, this psychological operation won't work on you if you're not participating in the game. So Donald Trump, after this event occurred where his life was supposedly taken, made a phone call. How convenient. 24 hours later, less than 24 hours later, this is what we're told. He made a phone call to RFK Jr. How do we know that he made a phone call? Well, because conveniently, RFK Jr.'s son, Bobby Kennedy III, posted on his Twitter/X account the conversation that occurred between RFK and Donald Trump, who sounds perfectly fine, of course. He's not. And that's because Donald Trump's so tough, right? He's perfectly fine after someone attempted to take his life. He's not, he's out playing golf the next day. He's making phone calls to RFK where he's cracking jokes. But what is the means of the conversation? What is the basis of this phone call? Well, the basis of the phone call is that Donald Trump called RFK to criticize the vaccines. That's what Donald Trump called less than 24 hours later. He called RFK to criticize the vaccine. So you say to yourself, why, from a psychological standpoint, does something like this come out right after that event? Because the one thing that's out there that they didn't expect, which I mentioned, was the pushback on the vaccines when everything went down. They didn't expect so many people to be anti-vax. The anti-vax movement was very small before all this stuff went down. There were still people getting flu shots. There were still people who were vaccinating their children at birth, right? And when this occurred, a mass awakening, in a sense, happened because people started to realize what they were really trying to do. All of the evidence was coming out of all the things we were all talking about. Let's just call it the black goo for people out there that, understand, what I'm saying with the black goo. For those of you that don't, you can join the website and you can learn about that black goo, that nano, how important it is to get in your body. So Donald Trump is the one who had Operation Warp Speed, right? Donald Trump is the one who came out and gave us this magic potion. Now, when that happens, a lot of people started to get suspicious. And when they flipped regimes, it was done by design because they wanted to make sure conservatives got it first and then Democrats went and got it. They didn't want it to be a political thing, but it turned into a political thing because conservatives suddenly became very anti-vax. So what did they do? Well, of course, the CIA created QAnon movement, started to say that Joe Biden switched out Donald Trump's vaccine, right? But that narrative didn't work very well because while a small portion of mind control zombies actually believe every single word that comes out of Q, as if the government couldn't go and stop Q and arrest Q, as if they're not, what does he have? He has a VPN that the government can't get through, that the government can't stop him, even though the government created and is responsible for the internet and they could see all. That's what Big Brother is, the all-seeing eye of Big Brother, right? So Q put that out there and it didn't work, right? So the one thing that we've all had, that we've all used as a way to get people to kind of go, well, you're right about Donald Trump, is of course the vaccine. That Operation Warp Speed was Donald Trump's, right? And a lot of those regular people didn't take that QAnon narrative because a lot of regular people don't go deep into the conspiracy hole, right? So a lot of regular people were bothered by that and they go, yeah, Well, now, of course, after that event on Donald Trump, they really want you invested in the left-right as we head towards November 5th. So what better way to do it than to have this quote-unquote leaked phone call that I'll play for you right now between Donald Trump, less than 24 hours after someone supposedly tries to blow his head off, and RFK. And what's the conversation? What does Trump want to talk about? He wants to talk about the vaccines, of course. Why? Because they want to make sure that anybody out there that was on the edge who still was saying to themselves, I think that they want to go after him, but I don't know, that whole vaccine thing, right? Trump is the one that rolled out. Well, now they want to take that narrative off the table because here's Trump bashing the vaccine, saying that, well, he wasn't really in support of certain things about the vaccine, certainly not how big the doses were and giving it to children. And this conveniently leaked, and then Bobby Kennedy Jr., of course, deleted it. And now this story is all over the place. Now, keep in mind when you listen to this, it doesn't even sound like Donald Trump, if you ask me. But the mainstream media is reporting this as real, right? So if the mainstream media is reporting it as real, that means the people out there who hear it will believe it. It doesn't matter if we look at it and say it's probably just, it doesn't even sound like Trump, it's an actor. So the point is that if the media is telling you it's real, they want you to hear this and think that this is some secret convo that the world's not supposed to hear because Bobby Kennedy leaked it. Bobby Kennedy Jr. leaked it on Twitter and then deleted it, of course. But thankfully, all of the sleuths out there recorded it. And now it's on CNN and the mainstream media. Oh, how convenient. Listen to this convo.
I agree with you, Dad. Something's wrong with that whole system.
Yeah.
And it's the doctors you find. Remember I said I want to do small doses. Small doses. When you feed a baby, Bobby, a vaccination that has like 38 different vaccines, and it looks like it's meant for a horse, not a 10-pound or 20-pound baby. It looks like you should be giving a horse this. And do you ever see the size of it, right? It's just massive. And then you see the baby all of a sudden starting to change radically. I've seen it too many times. And then you hear that it doesn't have an impact, right? But you and I talked about that a long time ago. And anyway, I would love you to do so. And I think it'll be so good for you and so big for you. And we're going to win. We're going to win. We're way ahead of the guy. And, he's interesting. It was very nice, actually. He called me. And he said, how did you choose to move to the right? So I guess that's, people see it, if I was looking straight on, right? He said, I said, I was just showing a chart. I didn't have to tell him the chart was on all the people pouring into our country, right? But I just turned my head to show the chart. And something wrapped me. It felt like a giant, like the world's largest mosquito. And it was a bullet going around. What do they call that, an AR-15 or something? That's a big gun. Those are pretty tough guns, right?
So now, Bobby's son posted that and immediately took it down, but of course everybody grabbed it. So Bobby says, when President Trump called me, I was taping with an in-house videographer. I should have ordered the videographer to stop recording immediately. I am mortified that this was posted. I apologize to the president. I thought you're supposed to be embarrassed about your position on Gaza. Anyway, so here's if you wanted to put on your tinfoil hat and do this. First of all, Trump sounds like a great guy on this call. He's even magnanimous to Joe Biden. He goes, he was a nice guy. He called me, blah, blah, this and that. And so if you wanted to get conspiratorial, let's do it. So I don't think Bobby or anybody in his camp would be so silly to record a private conversation and release it without Trump's knowledge. So what I think is that Trump is going to have Bobby do some work inside of his cabinet when he becomes president. Like they've already talked about doing a vaccine thing before that Bill Gates squashed, but I think it sounds to me like, so Trump, his base is upset of him for Project Warp Speed. He gets booed when he talks about the vaccine. So this is a way for Trump to signal to them that he's come around, he's going to look into vaccines, and now if somebody from the news asks him about it, he goes, hey, I'm not going to comment on a private conversation. So he gets to have it both ways. He doesn't have to talk about it publicly, and he could say this was a private conversation, and people still get the message. His base, people who like him, or people who might be voting for Bobby Kennedy because of this issue, they get to feel better about Donald Trump over this.
So that's something they pretend that they don't want you to hear, right? Even though CNN's putting it out there for you to hear. And the purpose of this is CNN and everything the liberal media does, despite these people out there who think they're awake and think they get how all this stuff works, everything that the liberal media has done has been to gain more support for Trump. They think everything that they've done, the Republicans, is to slander Trump, to discredit Trump. All of the stuff the media has done has gained more Trump supporters. Because everybody out there sees how corrupt the media is, and they go, oh man, they're saying this, they're trying to throw Trump in jail for what? Meanwhile, we have criminals running amok. Everybody out there should realize that they're getting worked. The more they martyr somebody, the more support they gain. And then they make you feel all the stuff that's going on with Donald Trump, like censorship, you feel like the government's after you, the IRS agents, all these stories they deliberately put out. What do you think the IRS story's out there for? How would you know that they hired 10,000 more IRS agents or 80,000 more, whatever the number is now? How would you ever know? Why would they ever tell you? They tell you it to gaslight you. Oh, and Trump's going to get rid of those IRS, because everybody feels like, wow, the government's really coming after us. All right, IRS agents. That's the point. That's the point. And oh, Trump will save us from that. So this story, when CNN puts it out, isn't for people out there to go, oh, can you believe it? Trump's bashing the vaccine again. It's for people out there who have been skeptical of Donald Trump because of it, who now hear this and go, oh, all right. Well, now we know how Donald Trump really feels about it. That's great. His secret conversation was somehow released by the son of Robert F. Kennedy, and nobody thinks that this stuff is deliberate. That's the crazy part. But that's the psychosis. That's what I talk about with the actual event that occurred on Saturday, right? You have conservatives who literally claim that the 6th day of January was a government inside job, right? Which it was, which all these events are on both sides. BLM, they all claim that those things are government created, George Soros created, right? But when it comes to this, they can't imagine that the government would stage and create this, because they don't realize that they're doing it to bait the same people who question January 6th, who won't question this. They're using it as a mind control mechanism on them. And they don't believe that because they're deep in the hypnosis. You see how many people have commented. They're like, you're the hypnosis. Some of these brain dead Trumpers, they come on, you're the hypnosis. They don't realize that we're all trying to help everybody, especially Christians, come out of this, because they're really being duped by the devil himself. And I'm not saying, oh, they're like, why do you hate Donald Trump so much? You support Joe Biden? It's like they can't grasp this, right? You know, many people have commented like, well, we got a Biden supporter. Oh, you support Biden then? They can't grasp this notion of, we don't support, I don't, and I don't speak for people, on their behalf on my channel, but I know the majority have the same mindset. Okay, I don't believe in the left-right paradigm, which means that I think the entire thing is staged and act, and I don't just believe it, I know it. And everybody out there with common sense should know. So I don't believe, for me to criticize Trump, they think it means I'm going to vote for Biden or support Biden. I don't support either party. And then that bothers them the most, not supporting either party, which again is part of their communist training to support the party that they don't even realize has been done to them. They can't get over the fact that there's people who don't vote, who don't believe in the party, who know it's a sham, because they think that they're making these decisions for the government. The government's making the decisions for you, and you're falling into the deception, thinking you're being empowered by your vote. Thus, they can blame you for all the chaos they continue to create, and that's what's going to eventually come here, where the left and the right blame one another for the chaos that ensues when it's really the government working together to cause it, and then blame you for it, right? That's how simple it is. It's really simple. So the leaked video that I showed you of the phone call between Robert F. Kennedy and Trump shows the former president expressing doubt about the magic potions, or you might as well just call them the vaccines at this point, and recounting the attempt on his life and his subsequent phone call with President Biden, right? So you heard him talk about Biden and talk about the rifle. I mean, it's laughable, right? And the majority of people out there, when they hear that, they're just like, wow, Trump's really unfazed by it. He's tough. He's strong. Instead of going, wow, yeah, something a little off about how he's behaving. He's playing golf the next day. He's not staying close to it. They just look at him and they think he's tough. They don't realize that it's literally the term political theater is a real term we've all heard before, right? You're watching it. Political theater. And I really hope that a lot of Democrats and libs and kids who watch the channel and troll it or whatever can start waking up to this stuff, okay? Because they go after me and they think that I support Trump, so they go after me. And they don't realize that I'm telling you that it's not real, right? But it's really hard for everybody to grasp that the news is manufactured, that it's no different than going into a movie theater and watching a film. You're just told that the news is real. You're told over and over that it's real. And the way that it's shot and it's filmed, they believe that it's real. They don't believe that there's green screens involved in these wars. They don't believe that all these people on the news, they trust them, right? Because that's part of the hypnosis. They trust the news anchor that they don't know, just like they trust the politicians that they don't know, right? And they've been trained to, of course, not trust the opposing political party and their news channels when they're all corrupt working together. It's as simple as that. So, as you heard in the conversation, this is what Trump said, for those of you that couldn't really hear. He said, remember I said, I want to do small doses, Trump added, echoing childhood vaccine-related comments he made on the debate stage in 2015. When you feed a baby, Bobby, a vaccination that is like 38 different vaccines, and it looks like it's meant for a horse, not a, 10-pound or 20-pound baby. Trump referenced previous such conversations with Kennedy, against whom he has regularly leveled personal attacks this election season, saying, you and I talked about that a long time ago. Kennedy said, yup, right? So this is because there's a lot of people out there that are supporting RFK based solely off of the vaccines because he's anti-vax. And that's true. A lot of people are just like, I'm picking him because they're mad at Trump because Trump is the one who rolled it out. And they want to pull those people back into the left-right paradigm, right? That's what they want to do. So they don't want them supporting RFK. They want them supporting Trump. And if he just came out and Trump just changed his opinion, it wouldn't mean much, but because it's a private conversation with RFK. And he says stuff like, I've talked to you about it in the past. People don't realize they're being programmed and they're like, oh, Trump never really believed in the vaccine in the first place, right? Even though a couple of years ago, when Biden was put back into power, Trump was going around talking, 6 months, 8 months after that, bragging about the vaccine, saying he wants credit for it, right? And I was laughing and I was showing the videos to people, making content like I always do. And people out there were like, oh, yeah, he is still talking about it. I mean, this is proof in the pudding, right? So they don't want any of that proof in the pudding. This is to make sure people eliminate that from their minds. You haven't heard a peep about Operation Warp Speed, have you? No. They want you to forget about it. And this is a perfect way to do it because this is supposed to be a private conversation that you're not supposed to be privy to, right? That's why his son recorded it, his own father, and released it on the internet. And give me a break. Oh, but he deleted it. Oh, yeah. Before people could capture it and it could be on CNN, right? Because this makes it look more credible. This is mind control 101. And it's very important to the psychosis that you invest in it. You have to invest in it for it to work. People go, what are we supposed to do? We're supposed to rebel. We're supposed to do this. Don't invest in it. Pull out of it. If everybody just didn't vote and stopped believing in this, they would have to pull back years and years and years of the mind control that they put on people and start a different path towards what they want to do, which is destroy the infrastructure, destroy the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. Remember, they need to destroy the infrastructure. You're going to destroy the infrastructure, but it only happens if you believe in this and you do what they want you to do. You're not going to do what they want you to do unless you emotionally invest in it, right? People said they're like, I'm not going to do what they tell me to do. You're already doing it by believing in these two candidates and these two parties. So the reaction that you're having is the reaction they want you to have. The things you're going to do after November 5th are the things they've wanted you to do all along. Just you think you're going to be freely doing it when you leave when states leave the union and Republicans move away from Democrats and they're now living in different states. They're like, we're doing this. We're making a choice. We've had enough. That's what they've been training you to do. Problem, reaction, solution 101. So Trump is out there and he's now anti the same potion that he rolled out. But of course, The government created Q movement will tell you that Trump's always, it's a different one. They swapped it, right? But that propaganda didn't work that well. This right here is for the majority of the masses out there that don't follow conspiracy, so they could say, hey, Trump is anti-vax. Okay. In case they remember, because that's really been the only sticking point that people have had who are anti-Trump, who lean conservative, has been the vaccines, when they should just be separated from the left, the right, and the middle, as if RFK is in compromise too. It's an utter joke how they make it like, oh, RFK is not allowed to debate with them. He must know something they don't, right? RFK is going to play a big role in the future as well with what happens on November 5th. Deliberately, right? They've chosen RFK based on the Kennedy name. Kennedy's one of the Illuminati bloodlines, of course. And then, of course, the stuff that's going to come with the assassination and Kennedy in the mix with all this stuff. It's a show.
I'm coming for